Welcome to footballgameplan.com. This is the 2009 Denver Broncos team preview alongside the czar of the playbook, Emery Hunt. I'm Tyler Merkovich, and speaking of turnover, you will not see more turnover than what you saw with the Denver Broncos. Josh McDaniels comes in. Jay Cutler wants out all of a sudden after he hears a proposed deal. Cutler ends up in the Windy City. Incoming is Kyle Orton, and a whole bunch of changes for the Broncos. Let's talk about their offense. Totally revamped. They still got Marshall and the receivers. New running back, new quarterback.
And on paper, you look at they still have the same team from last year, minus the biggest piece, which is quarterback Jay Cutler, who's now in Chicago. But they did bring in Sean Moreno, was a phenomenal running back out of Georgia. I also like the fact that they still have Brandon Marshall on the team, and that could change sometime in the near future if he gets his way. Eddie Royal is a real good guy. Tony Scheffler is a real awesome tight end. That one of the best offensive lines in the league. So I like the offense. They just need to get production out of Kyle Orton. That is the biggest question. That is the only question on offense. Now, if they lose Brandon Marshall, then you have another big question. But as of today, they still have Marshall, and Orton is a guy that can manage the game. And I hate using that term, but that's what he is. I mean, you are what you are in this league, and Orton can't get the ball deep. He's not going to throw 20-something touchdowns. He's not going to give you the big wow plays. Expect somebody like Scheffler and Moreno to get the bulk of the catches. You're going to see the numbers drop from Marshall and Eddie Royal as opposed to last year.
I mean, Orton, he got Olsen and Forte involved last year, and that's where he likes to do dump offs and short plays. Definitely not a playmaker. That's what he is. He's a manager. And Brandon Marshall disgruntled.
That's tough, man. Because you got a guy like Marshall who's an emerging star in this league, and you have him on the wrong side of happy, then you have a problem. So if they can fix that problem right away, get him back in good graces in Denver, then things are looking up. But as of right now, I just don't know if Kyle Orton can get it done.
McDaniels takes a lot of pride in his coaching QB ability, and will Orton get Marshall the ball enough to keep him happy? He's also on a contract here, so he wants those numbers. Let's talk about defense. They totally revamped this defense. They bring in a veteran in Brian Dawkins, and they draft a couple guys in Robert Ayers, defensive end. Alfonso Smith, they move up to nab as a cornerback. What's their prognosis on defense?
Defense was terrible last year. Defense, you had the #1 ranked offense, #2 ranked offense, and like the 30th ranked defense, 28th ranked defense. So bottom half, pretty much. So if they can get any improvement on defense, they'll be fine. And you mentioned they made a lot of good draft selections. Alfonso Smith, who I love, that is an awesome pick. He might be a starter alongside Champ Bailey. They're going to ease him in as a nickelback, but he's going to eventually be the starter. He's a guy that's a ball hawk. He gets his hands on a lot of interceptions. I like Alfonso Smith. Robert Ayers is going to be tremendous. He can rush the passer. Some may say whether he was a one-hit wonder or not, one-year wonder over there at Tennessee. But again, you can't go wrong with a Tennessee defensive player because they make plays. It's a good coaching staff down there at Tennessee. Also, I like their other safety that they drafted, Darcel McBath. From Texas Tech. Real good safety, another ball hawk. So McDaniels is setting up this defense to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback and put ball hawks in the secondary so they can get their hands on, get the turnover, get the offense back the ball, and make you chew up the clock that way. Also, you look at they bring in guys like Andre Davis from Cleveland. They brought in safety Brian Dawkins. You have Ronaldo Hill from Miami and Andre Goodman as well, another cornerback from Miami. So I like the pieces that they've added, but they're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, so there's a little bit of a rust that's going to be going on there, a little bit of adjustment period for these guys on defense. So, but I do like the pieces they've added. The biggest question is whether or not they're able to gel right away.
A lot of playmakers on defense. The question is, can they stay stout and disciplined enough to get some stops that some teams, some teams are going to drive the ball down the field and work them. Can they stay patient enough to get some stops for their offense?
And that was important last year. You look at a lot of games. Denver were in a lot of good old Western shootouts. They just were so lucky to take advantage of a lot of those shootouts. But on defense, the defense has to get, if they can move their defense up to at least 15 I have confidence in McDaniels and his offense that they ran in New England, that they can win a couple of games. Maybe not as many as they won in New England the previous year, but it's going to be tough because that defense was terrible, and it's hard to go from terrible to great. They can go from terrible to decent. Then Denver, I consider it to be a success on defense.
Matt Prater, solid field goal kicker last year. Special teams, what's the outlook for the Broncos?
When you have Eddie Royal back there, he reminds me a lot. He has a lot of shiftiness as a Peter Warrick did at Florida State. Guy that was shifted that could make people miss, so he can bring back some kicks. I like Eddie Royal. Prater, as you said, kicking into Mile High City. He's going to boom a lot of big kicks. So they're fine on special teams. I like their special teams. They can get 1 or 2 more punt returns. If Royal can improve his average, then I think they're going to set themselves up for Kyle Orton to move that ball down the field with the running game, with Moreno, and with Scheffler in the red zone. So look for the special team and the offense to go hand in hand.
Denver had a great chance to lock up this division last year. They were 8-5 headed into the last 3 games, and they absolutely choked, and they got absolutely blown out in San Diego in the finale, forced them out of the playoffs, forced them to an 8-8 record, missed the playoffs, chaos ensued, Shanahan out, AFC West, McDaniels' first year. How does it turn out for the Bronx?
I think with the adjustment period, I think they'll finish okay. I think they'll be 3rd behind San Diego and Oakland. I think Oakland, a year more under Cable, is right now better coaching-wise than Denver because of the whole adjustment to the 3-4, from the 4-3 to the 3-4. So I see Denver finishing 3rd with a chance to move up to 2nd place. There's no way they challenge the Chargers for that division, but I do think they can compete with the Raiders for number 2 in that division. I think they'll finish above KC, though.
Interesting. That's Emery Hunt. I'm Tyler Merkovich. For more NFL team previews, visit footballgameplan.com/NFL.